If you can get these 3 things right, you can build a freelance AI business that pays you way more than any full-time job, lets you work on the most exciting projects in tech right now, and gives you complete freedom over your time. So in this video, I'm going to take the last 6 years I've spent freelancing full-time as an AI engineer, and I'm going to condense it into a 3-part framework that I would follow if I have to completely start over from scratch today. I call this framework the Data Freelancer Blueprint because that's also the name of the program that I run. And I called it that because it is the exact system that works pretty much for anyone working in a data or AI related field in the tech industry. And now I've personally signed over $1.5 million worth of freelance contracts in the past 6 years, and I've also taught this system to hundreds of data professionals and developers. And now there's going to be 3 levels to this. So if you're a developer or data professional who has never done any freelance work before, we're going to start at level 1, and that is get going. Now in the beginning, the biggest hurdle that is really going to prevent you from getting started is actually a psychological one and often not a technical one. I've talked to hundreds of engineers, and the number one thing that keeps coming up is saying, Dave, I want to start freelancing, but I don't think I am good enough. See, most developers out there think you need years of experience, you need to be a senior engineer, all kinds of certificates and an optimized portfolio before you can charge any money. And none of that is true. In the real world, AI automation is often never as flashy as people make it seem on social media. If I look at the work that I do as well as the people in my community, it's often taking the boring and time-consuming processes in a business and simply making it less boring and time-consuming. So let me give you a sense of what that actually looks like. Because the thing is, if you look into most businesses and look at what most knowledge workers, people are doing behind a computer all day, it's moving data between different systems, it's writing reports, it's doing analysis. A large chunk of the global economy just runs on that. And those are exactly the kind of small projects that you can literally build out in a couple of hours, which are perfect to get started as a freelancer. So really what I would start with at this stage is to try and build out 3 of those projects that fall into the boring yet useful zone. Now, these don't really have to be that impressive, but they need to be end-to-end in a sense that you can actually demonstrate to take an idea and actually get it to the point where it can deliver value. So not only create the simple automation script that runs locally on your laptop, but see how you can deploy it somewhere. How can you actually integrate with a real system? Because often in the real world, that's where most of the complexity comes from. Anyone nowadays can follow a YouTube tutorial or literally ask something to Claude Code and it will build you a script. But what really separates the actual people that make money freelancing from just the vibe coders and people just experimenting is knowing how to take that code, integrate it with real systems, and then deploy it somewhere so it becomes an actual working product. And now I know what you're thinking, but wait, what is my niche going to be? What projects will actually later translate to client value? And I want you to stop all of that. The specifics of these projects don't matter. The tech industry is so complex that every project is going to be different, and there is no portfolio project that will literally translate to what a client is specifically asking from you. The goal here is just to get going. And now the only thing that you actually need at this stage is to clean up your LinkedIn profile. And that's actually way less scary than it sounds. I know all of you hate LinkedIn, but you actually need it. And you don't necessarily have to mention that you're a freelance AI engineer if you currently have a full-time job, because you don't want your boss finding out at this stage, right? But what you need to do is you need to update your bio, you need to update your headline to reflect the types of problems you like to work on. The goal pretty much is for someone in 10 seconds reviewing your profile to get a good idea of what you bring to the table. So make sure you use your tech stack in your bio, explain what type of problems and projects you've worked on before. That's all you need at this stage. And if you don't know what a strong LinkedIn profile looks like, you can simply go to my profile, check it out, or watch the ton of free videos that are on YouTube talking about this. And now once you've shipped those first 3 projects and your LinkedIn profile doesn't look like a graveyard anymore, you actually need to make a decision. In the tech industry, you don't really niche down in the beginning by choosing a particular industry, but you do want to kind of like focus on a particular tech stack, a specific set of tools that you use to deliver your work. And now there's 2 common paths that I see. So one is going actually with a low-code or no-code solution route. So you use tools like N8N and Airtable to build automations like that. The other option, option B, is you go fully custom. So you use Python, you use TypeScript to build custom end-to-end solutions. Both can work. For most engineers, you likely want to go the custom route, but also you have to know that in order to deliver end-to-end solutions, you also need to understand generally like not only the full stack, but also the deployment and the CI/CD behind it, so you can actually maintain your solutions that you deliver for your clients. Whereas with low-code, no-code tools, it's not only often easier to set them up, but definitely easier to deploy and maintain. And both can work. There's no wrong answer here. So you pretty much want to pick the path that matches the type of work that you want to do all day. And after you made that decision, that also gives you a good understanding of the type of work that you can take on. Because some projects can simply not be built using low-code or no-code solutions. And now once you've made the decision, you are ready for level 2, which is what I call getting paid. Now, this is actually the most important level of the framework, because up until this point, working on your projects and updating your LinkedIn profile, that is all just hobby work. Anyone can do that. The moment you start getting paid for something, the moment money changes hands, even if it's only $100, that now becomes a freelance project and you're actually doing it and not just thinking about it. Okay, so how do you actually get paid for the first time? Well, there's 3 steps to that. And the first one is actually figuring out how much your time is worth. So here's a quick exercise that you can do. Go to Google or use your favorite AI tool and search for something like freelance AI engineer rates the Netherlands 5 years of experience. For that particular search, you'll find anywhere between 100 euros and 150 euros. So let's say we take 125 euros per hour as the average. Now go do this for your exact situation. Now you know what your time is worth. We'll come back to that later. And now step number 2 is getting on a call with a decision maker. And this is where it gets scary for most people, but trust me, it doesn't have to be. At this stage, most people go to Upwork or think about cold emailing people, and that is actually not what you want to do at this stage because the success rate is way too low. What leads to the highest success rate time and time again is simply warm intros from people already in your network. You want to get in contact with someone that can give a green light on a particular project. These are your founders, your managers, your department heads. And how to get in contact with them is simply by going through your own contacts that you can already send the message to. These are your friends, family, former colleagues, or Slack or Discord communities that you're part of. Get a list of 50 people that you can send a message where you can talk about what it is that you actually do. So get back to your 3 projects that you talked about and see if you can get on the phone or in a simple online call with anyone who is in charge of running a department or a business where AI could help them save time and money. Now, as you go through that list, just know that for most of it will not be a fit and you'll get a lot of no's. But you only literally need a couple of positive replies that could lead to an actual conversation, which could be the starting point to your first freelance project. And now once someone has shown interest and accepted to book a meeting or call with you, what you don't want to do is directly sell. This is a big mistake a lot of people make in the beginning. You don't know what you need to sell because you don't know what their problems are. So instead, you're going to ask questions. You're going to strategically ask, where are they spending time? Where are employees complaining? Where are employees making errors? You are hunting mostly for the boring stuff again, similar to what we did in level 1, because that's often where most of the value lies, and also the problems that you can actually realistically solve as a solo freelancer. Okay, now step number 3, after you've found a problem, this is where you're going to create a proposal. So you do this after the call or meeting. You never directly give a price because the tech industry is way too complicated for that. Now, first for this, you need a proposal structure. So you can use AI for this to research what a good proposal template would look like. The most important things that you need to have in there are pretty much the milestones and all of the deliverables and the terms. So think about the problem that you're solving and then think about how you would build it. So what are the components to it? Is there a backend? Is there a database? Is there a frontend? Is there a deployment? Is there some type of integration or accounts that need to be created? List all of those. And then what you want to do is you want to make a fair estimate of how long you think you're going to spend setting up all of those different features. So create a table in the proposal beyond everything else that you put in there. And say, for example, setting up the database and then an hourly estimate. And then pretty much what you do to price the project, you sum up all of the hours that you estimated and then you multiply it by the rate that we found before in step number 1. And by the way, if you're getting value out of this video so far, would you please do me a favor and hit that like button below and subscribe to the channel? All right, so once you made it through level 2 and actually got paid for freelance work and you want to continue doing this, you need to make another decision. And this is the big one. You pretty much need to ask yourself, do I want to continue freelancing part-time or do I want to take this full-time. But here's the part that almost no one talks about that is very particular for freelancing in the tech industry. Replacing a full-time income just with small project-based work is almost never going to work out. Because here is actually a secret from freelancing in the tech industry, and that is that 80% of the people that do this full-time always rely on at least one long-term embedded contract, usually with a big company or enterprise where you work for 3 to 6 months, at least 32 to 40 hours on one single contract. This pretty much becomes your anchor contract that pays the bills where you stack smaller projects on top of. Now, if you have one of those contracts, that could already in 1 year put you at the 6-figure mark, often doubling or tripling what you could earn for that same role if you were an employee. So if you want to go full-time, you don't just want to be looking at more 5K projects back to back. You want to focus on getting one big project that actually pays the bills and then stacking smaller projects on top of that. But that is really hard to do if you have a full-time job. Now, level 3 is called Get Good. So if you want to continue with this, whether part-time or full-time, the rest of your freelance career is all about getting better at 3 things. Those are leads, sales, and delivery. Okay, so first let's talk about leads, because you need a consistent way to get in front of people who could actually hire you. While your warm network helped you to get your first or second or third project, that will burn out quickly. So this is where other channels will start to make more sense. You could look into freelance platforms. You could double down on LinkedIn and start to connect with decision makers and try to set up conversations with them. This is also where creating and posting content on platforms like, again, LinkedIn and YouTube will actually start to make sense over time to generate inbound leads. So people reach out to you instead of you having to constantly reach out to people. Okay, so number 2 here is sales, because finding people is one thing, but actually closing them is something completely different. Because you can be the best engineer in the world, but if you cannot convince a stranger on a call that you are the right person to solve their problem, you will not get the deal. And this is where a lot of developers actually struggle, because it's different from what we are used to, right? This is outside of our technical comfort zone, let's say. So you need to get better at doing discovery calls. You need to get better at writing proposals, and you need to be able to handle price objections really without flinching. So sales really is a skill, so you should train it like all the other skills. And a great book recommendation that I can give for you is Gap Selling. Highly recommend that book to start checking out if you want to learn more about sales. And the third thing that you constantly need to get better at is delivery. So you need to constantly get better at your craft, stay on top of the tools that are out there, use AI to work more effectively, be responsive to the client, deliver them the absolute best customer service that gets you referred. Now, if you've gotten this far and are still on the fence, or you actually already decided that this is for you and you just want to accelerate your journey and start getting paid in the next 90 days or so instead of trying to figure everything out on your own in the next 12 months, then that's exactly what Data Freelancer is for. Data Freelancer is the program I've been running for 3 years already, and I've helped hundreds of developers and data professionals to do exactly this. Go from having never freelanced to running real client projects, and in many cases, even going full-time. It's the full system behind everything I just covered. The LinkedIn playbooks, the discovery call scripts, the proposal templates, the actual outreach scripts, and my full delivery process with real client work. So if you really want that extra push getting started with freelancing and work together with me and my team, you can check out the first link in the description. There you can go to our website. This is also where you can start your application process, which involves booking a call with my team so we can actually qualify you and tell you if you are already ready for freelancing, and then map out what the next 90 days could look like for you. And now one last thing before I wrap up, because honestly for me, the decision to start freelancing, to start a business, is one of the best decisions that I have ever made. It has allowed me to make way more money than I would with a regular job. I can work on the most exciting projects in tech right now, but for me, most importantly, it has given me the freedom to literally do what I want, work on what I want, work it who I want. And even through my business, it has allowed me to connect with a whole bunch of other AI entrepreneurs who are all on a similar path. So for example, a few weeks ago, we got together for a week-long event in Cape Town, sponsored by N8N. The event was organized by me and a bunch of friends like Liam Otley, Nate Herkelman, and AI Jack, and a bunch of others, all selling AI services in some form. talking about really what's actually working in AI right now. We also invited a whole bunch of VIP members that joined us for the whole week. And at the main event day with the presentation, we had over 100 people there. And now the interesting thing that you'll notice if you bring so many people together working in AI is the variety really of it. Some are doing custom code implementations like me. Some are doing pure low-code automations. Some don't even sell services anymore. They just create content and make money through sponsorships and promotions about AI tools. There is just so much that's possible right now if you're willing to start. And look, now I know that 95% of you watching will click off after this video and will just simply go on with your day like you normally would. And that's just it, and that's okay. But I also know that there's about 5% of you watching that after this video, something clicked. And you actually feel like, this is actually what I want to do. I see myself having a freelance career in the tech industry. And I, through this video, want to give you permission to start going after this, start doing this. It's not as risky as people make it seem. Freelancing in the tech industry is one of the safest ways really to start a business, to start freelancing. There's so much work, there are high rates, and you can actually make a good full-time living working as a freelancer. So get going, get paid, get good. And then if you've enjoyed this video, please consider leaving a like and also subscribe to the channel. And then if you want to continue learning, here's a video I recommend next because it's actually related to everything I just shared in this video. This is my entire masterclass on how I build and deliver the custom AI solutions for my clients. So if you're interested in that, go check out this one next.